Episode 4: The Awakening of the Square. Scene 1: The Sound That Breaks.
The flower's quiet circle held. Inside it, the air felt softer, as though the world had briefly remembered how to breathe. Outside, Arkhon's resonance barrier screamed. One unbroken, piercing frequency that pressed against bone and thought alike. The sound kept the other animals back, pinned to doorways and shadows, watching but unable to step closer. Teddy no longer covered his ears. He listened. His eyes narrowed, not in pain, but in focus. Beneath the shriek, beneath the pressure, there was structure, order, repetition. "It's a loop," he shouted over the noise. "The same frequency, over and over. If we feed it a counter frequency, it will collapse." Lucy looked at him, startled. Thinksy's light trembled, then steadied. "We can't be louder than his machines," Teddy continued, voice sharp with certainty. "We have to use resonance." They moved without further agreement. Thinksy stepped closer to the flower. What little light remained in her gathered inward, no longer scattered by fear. She leaned down, listening. Not to the screaming barrier, but to the faintest sound beneath it all. "Plem," the flower answered her, a fragile, almost accidental note. Thinksy opened himself to it, amplifying the sound not by force, but by attention. The note grew. Not louder, but clearer. Lucy closed her eyes. She began to hum. It was not a song meant for crowds or ceremonies. It was the tune she used in the sick tent, late at night, when words failed and promises rang hollow. A lullaby with uneven timing, a voice that cracked slightly on the third note. Human, imperfect. Teddy felt the rhythm of the barrier through his feet, the machine pulse, the imposed order. He stamped once, deliberately offbeat, then again. The three sounds collided, the flower's organic tone, Lucy's worn, living melody, Teddy's broken rhythm. The resonance barrier faltered, the scream distorted, warping into a harsh rattle. The perfect tone stuttered, like a speaker with a loose wire. For the first time, the sound revealed its seams. It wasn't divine, it wasn't absolute, it was technology. Across the square, animals flinched. Not from pain this time, but from surprise. The barrier shimmered, its invisible walls cracking into visible fractures of light and noise. The world did not go silent, but it stopped pretending to be flawless. And in that broken sound, something else began to stir. Curiosity, first, then recognition. The square was listening.
Scene 2: The Politics of Fear.
Arkhon saw it, not the flower, not the song, but the fracture, the moment when certainty cracked and sound betrayed its maker. His machine still stood, his system still functioned, but the illusion of inevitability had been broken. So he changed tactics. He stepped away from the trio and turned toward the darkness at the edges of the square, where the others crouched low, half hidden by habit more than shadow. His voice softened, became patient, reasonable. Look at them, Arkhon said, extending one pale hand toward the flower circle. They break the peace, they bring the noise back. The animals shifted uneasily. Do you remember the chaos? He continued. Do you remember the pain? His eyes moved slowly across the crowd, lingering just long enough on each face. If that barrier falls, nothing will stop the darkness from coming in. He paused, then the perimeter lights went out. Not all of them. Just enough. The square dimmed, and beyond it the forest rose like a single black wall. Branches tangled into shapes the mind did not want to name. The night pressed closer, heavier than before. Only I keep you visible, Arkhon said quietly. Fear rippled through the crowd. The limping badger pulled his child behind him, one thick arm curved like a shield. Grumpy tightened his grip around the guard staff, knuckles whitening, jaw set. Not in anger, but in dread. They had learned this lesson well. Darkness was worse than confinement, uncertainty worse than obedience. Inside the flower's circle, the song faltered. Lucy's hum wavered, just slightly, as doubt crept in. Teddy felt the rhythm slip beneath his foot. Thinksy's light dimmed, flickering as if it, too, had heard the promise of safety in Arkhon's words. How do you win, Teddy thought, when the ones you are trying to free are afraid of you? Arkhon watched the hesitation spread and allowed himself a thin smile. He did not need to silence the trio, he only needed the others to choose fear, and fear, he knew, was always easier to teach than courage.
Scene 3. The First Crossing.
The song was failing, not because it was wrong, but because fear had found its way back into the square. Arkhon stood in the darkness like a patient host, waiting for his guests to return to their seats. Lucy saw it then, not the crowd as a whole, not the trembling massive eyes in shadows, but one figure at the edge of the light, Grumpy, the border warden, the one who had always stood between inside and outside. His grip on the staff was too tight, his stance too rigid. Lucy stepped forward. Not toward the crowd, but toward him. Grumpy, she said. She did not raise her voice, she did not sing, she spoke as she had always spoken to the wounded, the frightened, the nearly broken. Do you remember when I treated your leg? Grumpy flinched. It hurt, Lucy continued. I know it did. You wanted me to stop, but it healed. She met his eyes. Pain is part of healing. Arkhon's voice cut in sharply from the dark. Stay in line. Lucy did not turn. Come home, she said. For a long moment, Grumpy did nothing. He looked from Arkhon to Lucy, from command to care, from certainty to risk, then he stepped forward. The resonance barrier screamed as he touched it. The sound was no longer distant. It struck the body, a wave of nausea and pressure that bent him double. Grumpy snarled, teeth bared, breath ragged, but he did not step back. He walked through the pain. When he emerged on the other side, shaking but standing, he lifted the guard staff, the symbol Arkhon had given him, and threw it to the ground. It struck stone with a dull, ordinary sound. He was no longer a warden, he was only Grumpy. He moved to Lucy's side. Something broke open. Puss in Boots laughed softly and stepped forward, loosening his collar. This outfit was starting to itch anyway. The badger followed, then another, and another. One by one, they crossed the barrier, wincing, gasping, but walking. Choosing pain over paralysis, light over silence. Soon the square had shifted, the flower glowed at the center, surrounded by the trio and the community, their shadows overlapping, their breathing uneven but shared, and Arkhon stood alone in the dark. He had not shrunk, he had not fallen, but the space around him had grown vast and empty. His power, it seemed, had always been borrowed, and now, it was being returned.